Hello, excuse me. Hello, everyone, and welcome into Coach Craig's Sports. This is the MLB DFS Core Pick video, Core Pick live stream for today, May 12th. It's also Friday. It's a big 17-game main slate overall today, but what we'll be doing in this video and this live stream, going through a recap of yesterday's picks, seeing how they turned out, talking about the weather in play for today. Not too much else going on in terms of weather. There's going to be like one game that we're looking at potentially. And then moving over to FanDuel, talking about the core picks that I do have for today. It's going to be a really good day to mix and match. So kind of take these picks with a grain of salt. If you guys like different players, that's completely fine on today's large 13-game main slate. Then last but not least, going over to my cheat sheet, talking about the bottom half with the top GPP teams to stack for today's main slate. Obviously, like I said, pretty good day to mix and match, especially at the pitcher position. A lot of decent pitchers going today, a lot of top-end pitchers going today as well. But without further ado, we'll get started with the recap of yesterday's picks at the pitcher position. We went paid all the way up for Nathan Eovaldi, $11,000. Ended up with 72 points. He was the top pitcher on yesterday's slate. I said it was really between him and Drew Rasmussen. He got 20 more points than Rasmussen for $700 more. Definitely was worth that price tag. Obviously, a pretty popular play. He was up over 40% in most tournaments yesterday. Then at first base, we went with Christian Walker at $3,600. Had some pretty good history in the past versus Alex Cobb. I got to 19.2 points yesterday, so he ended up being a push. And then at third base, we went with Casey Smith, $2,500, kind of one of the better pay down options on the entire day. Ended up with going 4 for 4 with a home run. He ended up with 40.9 points. He was a hit in the top overall third baseman on yesterday's slate, so obviously he was a really good play there. Then we moved down to outfield. Mitch Haniger at $3,000. There wasn't really history there versus Tommy Henry in the past, but ended up going over 4 yesterday and was a miss. So that was kind of the unfortunate one on the day overall. And then last but not least, we have Pavin Smith at $2,700. Kind of another pay down option. Got to 6.2 points. So to give him a push, as he was not anybody that really helped us, but not anybody that really hurt us at the same time. 1 for 4 yesterday, but did score a run. So a little bit hit or miss there on the day. Obviously, we got the top pitcher. We got the top third baseman. And I believe Casey Smith may have been the top hitter yesterday or the second highest hitter overall as well. So pretty solid day there. Obviously, if you had some other decent options in there, you had a pretty good chance of cashing on yesterday's slate. But with that being said, we'll get moved over to kind of talking about some weather spots for today. Really, the only game that we're looking at in terms of weather spot is the Houston and Chicago White Sox game that does have a chance of rain. Could end up being delayed, but nothing too major at this point in time. If anything does change throughout the day, I will leave it down in the comments as always. But with that being said, we're going to stop sharing the screen, go over to FanDuel, talk about the core picks that I do have for today. And once again, like I said, a very, very good day to mix and match on a 13-game main slate, large. If you're looking to play, like 20 max, 50 max, 150 max, a very good day to do that, mix and match in these pitchers overall. Overall, I ended up on Martin Perez as my core pitcher for today. He's $9,200. He's going against the Oakland A's. Pretty good matchup there. He's got good history versus them in the past. He pitched against them 3 times last season. He had 40, 46 points, and 37 versus them in 2022. So some pretty good upside there. Been a little bit of a hit or miss start to the season for him, as we'll pull up his game logs here. Coming off his worst start of the season, but that was against the Angels as well. But other than that, you haven't seen any really drastically poor starts, but still a little bit more limited in terms of upside, although he was striking out guys at a little bit better rate last season, and going against the A's should have some pretty decent upside there as well. If you're looking at the high-end pitchers today, there's going to be a ton of them. There's Spencer Strider, there's Garrett Cole, there's Corbin Burns, there's Sonny Gray, who's pitched extremely well so far this year. Even in the mid-range, there's decent guys, whether it is, Martin Perez, Dustin May, who's got decent history versus the Padres, had a really good start versus them the last time out. Blake Snell, who's got hit or miss history versus the Dodgers, but he's had some pretty good performances against them, pitched pretty decent the last time out as well. A lot of different guys that you can play on today's slate. Taijuan Walker's only $7,500. He made it in my core play, even though that game is at Coors Field, but he did have one of the best pitching performances at Coors Field last year with 49 points overall. So it is something to keep in mind. Got decent history versus them outside of Jerks and Profar. So a lot of guys that you can play from a pitcher perspective today. A lot of guys that you can probably mix and match for some hitting perspective as well. Definitely a slate that favors the pitchers more than the hitters today overall, at least early on. But with that being said, moving down to the hitters that we do have for today, we got Anthony Rizzo. He is 2 for 3 with 1 home run versus Josh Fleming. They did face him really recently. He was 1 for 1 with a home run in that game and 2 walks against Fleming in the game as well. So some pretty good upside there. It's a little bit limited sample size history, but Rizzo's been hitting the ball pretty well as of late, hitting 296, 6 home runs, 17 RBIs on the season, averaging just over 10 points. He is only $3,000. Been off to a pretty good streak as of late, double-digit points in 4 out of the last 5 games, multi-hit games in 3 of those 5 games as well. So some pretty good upside at that with just in general today. So do like Anthony Rizzo, especially at the $3,000 price tag. Probably should be a little bit heftier price tag at this point in time. It is a lefty-on-lefty matchup, but Anthony Rizzo has actually hit lefties really well so far to start this season. He's actually hitting better versus lefties than righties, oddly enough. So definitely do like that in general. Then kind of the oddball for today. This is going to be the cheap pay down option. We got Nick Ahmed here. He is the shortstop for the Arizona Diamondbacks. He's not playing every day as much as he has been in previous seasons. Obviously, he's a guy that has had a lot of injury histories in the past, but $2,400. If you're looking for a cheap kind of pay down option today, yes, he's only averaging 6 fantasy points per game on the season, but you're either facing Ross Stripling or Alex Wood is the primary pitcher for the Giants tonight. When I was doing my research yesterday, it looked like it was going to be Ross Stripling. There is news that Alex Wood may be coming back from the IL today. So we'll have to see how that all shakes out by the time we get to game time. But he's got good history versus both of them. Versus Ross Stripling, 7 for 15 with 2 home runs. And then versus Alex Wood, he's 8 for 27 with 2 home runs. So some pretty decent upside there. Obviously, Ahmed's not the greatest hitter in the world, more known for his defense. But it's kind of a cheap pay down option today. Got 2 home runs versus both those guys that could potentially be pitching for the Giants today. So do like a little bit of that upside that it does have to offer there. It's kind of off the beaten path. If you guys don't like that one, obviously it's not one that you have to go with. But, if you're playing a lot of different lineups out there, try to sneak Nick Ahmed in. Obviously, he's a guy that we need to make sure is in that starting lineup when we're playing him, though, too, as well. So since Perdomo's been playing a little bit more than him at shortstop, but, he did start yesterday. We'll see if he ends up starting today as well. And then in the outfield, we go with Harrison Bader. He was on the injured list to start the year, but he's came back and he's hit probably the best he's ever hit in his career since coming back from the IL. So definitely I did like coming up through the minors, playing with the Cardinals. Kind of unfortunate that they traded him away. I know Jordan Montgomery kind of worked out for them last year, but still like Bader, what he can do defensively. Always had some hitting upside as well. Just in general, though, he is 2 for 2 versus Josh Fleming, who is the projected primary pitcher for the Tampa Bay Rays today. And in that most recent start versus Fleming, he had a home run and a triple. So he's 2 for 2 versus him. So it's a pretty good upside there at that. But even if we look back at these recent games for Harrison Bader, there's not a lot of them since he hasn't really done or hasn't really played in too many games this year, I should say. But the 400 average, 3 home runs, 11 RBIs, a guy that's been on a hot streak since coming back from the injured list. So definitely do like the opportunity that he does present just in general. $3,500, typically more than I would like to pay for a guy like Harrison Bader, but the way that he's heading as of late, definitely like that upside that he does offer, plus the good matchup and the good recent history as well. And then last but not least, we're going to Ronald Acuna Jr. He's $4,600, 2 for 6 versus Chris Bassett, who is pitching for the Toronto Blue Jays tonight. Bassett's been a little bit hit or miss throughout the season. His history versus the Braves is a little bit hit or miss as well, but Ronald Acuna has had a very strong start to the season, 347 average, 7 home runs, 22 RBIs, averaging 16 fantasy points per game. He's been running a lot more once again as well. So definitely do like the upside that he can present on any given slate. 2 back-to-back 20-point games, multi-hit games in those as well. So not too much to risk here. We're paying down at a couple other positions at pitcher, with Martin Perez. We're paying down with Nick Ahmed a little bit. So why not pay up for Ronald Acuna on tonight's slate overall? But with that being said, that's what I do have in terms of my core 5 for today. Once again, like I said, it's going to be a really good day to mix and match. So if there's guys in here that you don't like, feel free to swap them out for somebody else. If you want to run out Martin Perez in a Yankee stack, you can do it. If you want to run out Garrett Cole in a Yankee stack, you can do it as well. So definitely a lot of different ways that we can do it. But with that being said, we'll close out of this screen, move over to the community tab on YouTube, and talk about the bottom half of my cheat sheet and the top teams to stack for today overall. So once again, as this is loading, the cheat sheet is 100% free. It is up on Facebook, it's on Twitter, it's up on the YouTube community tab. So definitely be sure to check it out, whether whichever platform you're looking at today, just in general. But a good resource to start kind of building your lineups. Obviously, like I said, a good day to mix and match. So if there's somebody you like that is not in the cheat sheet, that is not a problem whatsoever. But just giving you guys a little bit, heads up, and guys that I do like in general for today. But with that being said, the top GPP teams to stack that I do have for today, we have the New York Yankees going against Josh Fleming as the primary pitcher for Tampa Bay today. Yankees hit him pretty well last time out, so definitely don't have any concerns there. A lot of the guys that have decent history versus him, Anthony Rizzo, Harrison Bader, DJ LeMahieu. There is some upside with Gleyber Torres, although he's only 1-for-6 versus him. So a lot of different ways that we can attack this Yankees team overall. Aaron Judge is 1-for-2 versus him as well. If you want to pay up for him, definitely does make some sense today as well. Then we have the Milwaukee Brewers. They're going against Josh Taylor getting the start today for Kansas City. He has primarily been a reliever throughout his career, so definitely don't expect him to pitch too deep into this game, maybe 2 innings max. So kind of looking like a bullpen game for Kansas City, bullpen for Kansas City, a little bit hit or miss, so could be some good opportunities for Brewers hitters today. Not too much history versus Josh Taylor in the past. Rowdy Tellez does have a home run against him, so something to mention there, but definitely do like stacking the Brewers once again today. Then we go to the Texas Rangers going against Ken Waldichuk. Not a lot of history here, but they did hit him pretty well last season. So definitely do like some of those guys, whether it's a Marcus Semien and Aldelis Garcia. Jonah Heim's obviously been hitting the ball really well as of late. They have some cheaper pay down options down in their lineup as well. So a lot of different ways that you could approach that team overall. And then last but not least, we have the Atlanta Braves going against Chris Bassett, who's had very hit or miss career history versus them. Austin Riley's hit him pretty well. Obviously, Ronald Acuna Jr., Eddie Rosario. A couple different ways that you can go about it. Sean Murphy's up there too as well, 2-for-3 versus him in his career, although he is pretty expensive at this point in time. But that's just kind of the top stacks that I do have at this point in time. If there's one that you like that's not on here, I'll throw out the Cardinals as well. Going against James Paxton, making his first start since 2021. There could be a lot of upside in that game as well. But with that being said, that's pretty much what I do have in terms of the MLB DFS core picks. In terms of the top GPP stacks for today. If you guys have any questions whatsoever, feel free to leave them down in the comments and I'll get back to you as quickly as possible. Like I said, if anything changes with the weather, I'll leave that down there as well. Also, be sure to let me know your favorite play on tonight's slate. Obviously, it's a large 13-game main slate overall. So definitely interested in hearing what you guys have to say, whether it's someone from my core 5 picks, whether it's someone from my cheat sheet, my top GPP stacks, or whether it's a completely different player you guys think I missed. Definitely interested in hearing what you guys have to say, though. But with that being said, if you are brand new to my channel, checking out for the very first time, you enjoy the content that I am putting out, definitely be sure to subscribe. Helps to build the community that we're trying to build here at Coach Craig Sports, which is one that's truly for you, the viewers, mainly helping you guys with your DFS at this point in time. We got MLB DFS and USFL DFS. Going to try to drop in a little bit of other content here and there as time does allow, though, but definitely be sure to check all those out. If you haven't already done so, turn on that notification bell so you never miss a beat anytime that I do go live or post up a pre-recorded video. But with that being said, that's pretty much what I do have at this point in time. If you're interested in more MLB DFS notes, hitter versus pitcher matchups, kind of pitchers that I would consider in play, risky plays, avoiding on a daily basis, Monday through Friday. Be sure to check out the Patreon at patreon.com/Coach Craig Sport. Like I kind of mentioned in a couple other videos, I will be trying to do a little bit more price bet content in the very near future, whether that's next week or in a couple weeks, especially for the MLB, as we do get more information on each player as the season moves along. But definitely be sure to check that out. Follow me on Twitter at Coach Craig Sport. I do put that out there from time to time as well. But with that being said, that's all I do have at this point in time. Do appreciate everyone taking the time out of their day, whether you're watching live or on replay. Definitely means a lot to me, and I hope that each and every one of you have a great rest of your day and some pretty good luck in MLB DFS tonight.